Welcome to Community Weaver 2.0. My name is Tim, and let's get started. So we're going to start off with a few slides from this PowerPoint presentation, just so I have some talking points and you have some stuff to look at while I go over the nerd stuff. We've designed Community Weaver 2.0 on the Drupal platform, and the great thing about Drupal is it's an open source uh, code which anybody can program on, and it's very easy to program on. So for users to be able to make their own modules and or even extend the program to suit their needs, Drupal is a great platform for this because it's very easy to find developers, and it's a very common code, so anybody can program on anybody else's code. And like I said, because it's open source, it also means it's constantly developing, constantly getting better, and the world itself is chipping in on it. So it's perfect. It's very common to time banks theories of the way things should be, so it works out nice. We've also made this new build. Couple great features. One, it's no longer platform dependent, meaning that any browser can access time banks. Community Weaver 2.0, be that Opera browser or Firefox or Internet Explorer or Google Chrome. In fact, we're going to work on Google Chrome for this sessions. And also, it also works on smart devices such as iPads and iPhones and Androids. So users can hit their accounts from anywhere in the world with the greatest of ease. So that's another key benefit to it. Another thing we've done is, since all the databases live in the same world, databases can talk to other databases from differing community time banks. So if we have a large geographical region where there's two big time banks which overlap a little bit, you can have one member who can log into both at the same time and see the services and offers from both at the same time. So we're going to be using Nancy Roberts. I've set up a little scenario here. Like I said before, this is a PowerPoint that you can have demonstrated to your community if you want to. And I have a PowerPoint which you can download, which I'll give you more information at the end of this video on how to download it. Basically, it'll walk the users through different aspects of the program. And we're using Nancy Roberts as our key demonstration user. So as you see, we have some offers and some needs, and you'll find there's some interconnections and some symbiotic relationships that can be created here between these people's offers and these people's needs. So we're going to actually drop out of this page right now. We're going to pop into my my web browser. Like I said before, I am using Google Chrome, so your browser might look different, but the page will look the same in the middle. And as you can see, we're going to be operating out of sandbox.timebanks.org. And this is a sandbox we've set up so the public can come in and log in with these demo accounts, or even make their own account if they want, like we'll be looking at in a second. And they can come in, kick the tires, walk about the cabin, however you want to put it, and see if it's going to work for them. So let's go ahead and just get started. So the home page here. One more caveat: if you do set up your own account, which you're actually welcome to do not use your real email address. This is a publicly accessible sandbox, and anybody can see everything. So don't put anything real in here as far as personal information. It's not protected in the sandbox. When you have your real Community Weaver set up, it'll obviously won't be publicly addressable, and they won't have keys of the castle right here on the home page, so that'll be different. Here we have an upcoming events and a featured events. This is just for the public, so there'll be some in here that, or there'll be some on the inside which will never show up here. But if the coordinator or whoever posts the events sees fit to make it a public event, they would show up here. Otherwise, all community events wouldn't show up here. They'll show up on individuals' accounts pages. So here is where we would log in. Obviously, username and password, pretty common to most sites. You can request a new password if you lose your password or forget it. And also, you can create a new account. So we're going to go ahead and click on that now, just so I can kind of go over the page. As you can see, I have a little bit of an autofill there. We'll get rid of that. It's divided basically into three sections. You have your account information, your personal information, which is here, and your availability, and then just basically the terms of use and the CAPTCHA at the bottom. So The username is what you'll actually be logging into. That'll be your login name over here in the box from the home page. And go ahead and make that whatever you want. Some people use their real name. Some people use an initial and a last name. And you can make whatever you want that for that to be. Your email address here, once again, you put in your real email address if this is not a sandbox. And this is really important you get this right because Community Weaver will use this to have you validate it to make sure that you're a real person and not a bot, a robot, so to speak. Password fields. So this particular software requires an uppercase and a lowercase letter and a number and a minimum of 7 letters. So it's important that you do that. It's good to mix it up. It's harder to hack that way. If you click Remember Me, it'll put a cookie on your browsers, so you'll not have to put that in ever again. Here's where you'll put your first and last name, your real name obviously, and how you heard about us. Pretty standard stuff. And this box right here is where you can check your availability so people will know that you're available these times and not during these times to provide services if they make a request. You can select entire rows at a time, as you can see here. You can do columns and days at a time, or you can say you're available all the time. Or you can pick just days here and there, depending on your schedule. This can be changed anytime, which we'll show you in a second, but just know that when you first set it up, it's not carved in stone. You can change it daily if you need to. So that's there for you, and we'll show you that more in a second. Personal links are great. So if you have a Facebook page or a Twitter page and you want people to be able to get to those from your home profile page, which people will be able to see, this is where they'll show up. So you just put your friendly title over here, for instance, like my Facebook page, in this case, Nancy's Facebook page, whatever she wants to type, and then the full URL that you just basically go to your Facebook homepage, copy and paste it in here, or whatever site you'd want to, your blog, your Twitter, however you want to put in there. You can add more if you want to. You can go wild and have a whole entire thing. Because I am refreshing the page every time, it's freaking out thinking I'm trying to hack a thing out of that. So it's nice. Once again, security is good. Your street address is here. It should be absolutely correct. We use Google Maps for geolocating and for directions for other members to find you or for you to find other members. So it's important you have your real address in here. It interfaces with Google Maps via Drupal. We have our standard terms of use. Be sure to read them all and agree when you're ready. And then this is the CAPTCHA we were talking about. So CAPTCHAs are made to prevent programs, or what they're called as bots, from coming in and setting up fake accounts and then using those accounts to spam within the community. So you know how spam gets. So this is there to defeat that. As you can see, we don't use the very hard, cryptic, weird, wavy letters with lines through them like Amazon and what have you. It's just too hard for the end users. So we have 2 or 3 methods. One method is this, which is just basically big letters made with dashes and slashes. We also have basically almost like a little quiz where we'll say, hey, tell me which word is not in the right alphabetical order. You have to select that word, or so that's how those work. So just know that they only really exist whenever you're posting new posts on blogs, or you're doing things on the home page, which it might want to make sure that you're a person. So that's important. So once you're ready and you have everything all ready to go, you'd go ahead and you would select Create New Account, and that'll set up a new account, and it'll drop you into the home page for that account. Like I said before, we're going to be using Nancy as our demo user. So you have users and coordinators. Users are the vast majority of the accounts will be users, and you have a group of coordinators, and their job is to basically help out the users and facilitate transactions and basically bring people together. So those are 2 different roles. So we're going to be doing a user account, which is named Nancy. So we'll come on here and type in Nancy. Will put in her password, and we're going to go ahead and click login. So as you can see right away, I clearly have a different looking page, more or less, than what we had before. I have some kind of messages waiting for me. It tells me right away. Even before I get to my account page, it's telling me right away, hey, you have messages. We understand the whole purpose of this is to communicate between community members so they can use each other's assets better. So that's why this is such a front and center thing. Also, you see here we have some stuff now in the upcoming events and featured events where we didn't have anything before. And we have some announcements and some lists of coordinators and members over here. And this page right here on the inside, you can make it whatever you want as a coordinator. This is just what we put in here. Later on in the coordinator section, I'll show you how easy it is to put whatever you want here, pictures and links and text, and just make it look like a good-looking web page. Lastly, while I'm talking about personalization, so to speak, you can change for your community's time bank this entire look, what color everything is. You can add tabs up here. You see we've added a couple here for demonstrations. So it's all right there. You can put your own logo up here. Apparently we're having a little bit of a hiccup with this one. So, but that's how that works. So let's just go ahead and go back to the My Account page for the first time, which doesn't make sense, but you understand what I'm saying. And here we have the My Account page for Nancy Roberts. So we're on this tab here, and this is Nancy Roberts, who is our account that we made for this purposes. Right away, you see once again we have messages. It's telling us here, and it's telling us here that you have these two messages that are waiting for you. There's an About Me, where Nancy would write basically what she is and what she's about. There is an interactive Google map, which we'll get to in a second. Down below it shows her offers and requests. These are offers that Nancy is offering to the Time Bank community in her area. These are requests that she is looking for resources. And then the very bottom is the meat and potatoes of time banking, which is the balance sheet, so to speak. As you can see here, she's earned a lot of hours doing services for others. She offered some Thai cooking classes, and then she had some yard work done, so you can see how that balanced out. Obviously, here she has a negative balance, which in corporate banking is a bad thing. In time banks, it really doesn't make much of a difference. The purpose of time banking is to allow assets in the community to work for needs, and so if she has more needs than she has offers right now, so be it. The point is that we're getting her what she needs so she can be as comfortable and live the best quality of life. Different ways. There are some times when there's members who simply can't. Um, there's not able to offer services. An Alzheimer's patient would be a perfect example, but that patient would really love company and having basic yard work and companionship. So what happens is that either other members will donate their hours to that person to make up the difference, or even the time bank themselves will use time bank hours out of a community bucket, which we'll teach you about later on when we go over transactions, where basically extra hours which are created in certain situations go into a bucket, and those will help carry people who aren't able to maintain a positive balance. So basically what I'm saying is that negative balancing in time banking is totally fine, and it's all about just getting the help people need. On the left-hand side here, we see two different panes. We have Nancy Roberts' basic contact information. This is the stuff which is private, only shown once this person feels comfortable doing so. Once again, I'm on my own homepage here, so it's showing me a lot more than what other users will see. In a second, we'll visit somebody else's page and see what they look like, so you can see the difference between what you see and what others see about you. So here we have all this here. I can always come back in and edit it. And this is the best place to come back and change your password. If you need to change your password periodically, you'd basically come into here to do it. Also, you can also upload a picture. So you would just choose File from your computer, just like uploading a picture to Facebook. It's very straightforward. Change your address. And there's a couple other things here which are where we're not on the new account page, which are here, which is basically saying, hey, how do you want to be contacted by the system? Do you want private messaging? Do you want to have it come to your email? And also what your time zone is. I like the system so much better than the trying to figure out whether you're +5 or -4 from GMT and all this atomic clock stuff. So I prefer it just to have it like this. So I know I'm in the same time zone as New York. Boom, I'm done. I'm going to go ahead and click Save here. And as you can see, Drupal and Community Weaver will always let you know that you've made some sort of change. So that's super useful. Let's go back to my account. And we're going to go to the second box, which is more about the profile of the individual. Not only just their availability, but also things like, do you have pets? Do you have kids? What's your living situation? Do you have an apartment? Do you live in a group home? Are you in a hospice? Because all these different pieces of information will really help somebody, you know, judge whether they're going to be a good fit to help you out or not. For instance, if Nancy here wanted her house cleaned up because she wasn't able to clean it herself anymore, and I'm allergic to cats, well, that's just not going to work. So that would be a deal breaker for me. While my wife would just run over there in a moment's notice because she's crazy about cats and she takes delight in cleaning up cat hair. So this is perfect. Also talks about stairs, for accessibility issues and how Nancy gets around. So this is important because clearly we can see here she doesn't drive her. She doesn't have a car, so we know right away that she might be someone who's going to need some transportation help. Um, she is bilingual. She speaks both English and Spanish fluently, which is great. So she can offer classes in both to either group. Her birthday is here. This is very useful for the coordinators to be able to run reports so they can know whose birthdays are coming up to make sure that community members, especially the older ones who might not have as much family and friends around, are, you just reach out to them and let them know that people are thinking about them on their birthday. Here's the About Me that you saw at the very top of her profile page, and you can change whatever you want in here. It doesn't have heavy editing stuff. It's simply basic, simple text. There are much more powerful editing tools for text editing in other parts of the program. Here's where you can change her availability. So we can just go like this and say, let's say she's not available on Monday and Tuesday, but the rest of the time she's available in the afternoon and evenings and Saturday, Sunday. We can even take off Sunday all at once or put it back. And here, once again, we have our personal links. If you want to add a couple more, totally optional. You can do it if you want to. I'm going to go ahead and click Save here. And once again, Drupal will verify that we have made changes. Let's go ahead and pop into someone else's account real quick just so you can see what other accounts look like. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Jay Clark. And this is all anybody else sees. So this is important. You see there's no address information right here. So that stuff that is on there is only available through the coordinator and once you guys set up a meeting. And once again, it shows all the area again in Google Maps, which once again we'll cover in a second. Shows her availability and her offers and her requests. So that's how that works. So we're going to go ahead and click back a page and go back up to the top to my account. So just so you know, we're here on my account page. I'm just going to refresh that real quick. Top to bottom here, we have messages. So these are kind of redundant, but it's nice to have this extra warning. But it says, we have new messages here. So I'm going to click on View All Messages to look at them all. Likewise, I can also click right on the message to go directly into the message. Or I can even click on the person who sent it to me right away before I even go to the message. I can say, okay, who sent this to me? What's going on? Okay, this is a person who is a cat sitter, and I have cats, so that might be perfect. So that's how that works. So I'm going to go ahead and click in View All Messages. And anybody who has a Google Mail or a Hotmail account or anything like that is very familiar with this particular format. You can check all the messages at once and manage them that way. You can click on any subject and it'll let you know, hey, here is a message from the demo coordinator who is throwing me some random gibberish, obviously just to send a test message. And here you can reply. So as you can see right now, it's just a standard text box. I'm going to go ahead and copy and paste this so I have some text real quick. Alright, perfect. So as you can see, this is a standard text box, but I can also come out here and I can change how it is. So now I've changed it to full HTML from plain text. Now I have all these great formatting features, and anybody who uses Word or any word processing program is familiar with at least these ones right here. This one right here is add a hyperlink and a picture. These two are very you don't see these in word processing. These are actually for web stuff. A block quote will create a block quote, and a horizontal line will it'll create a horizontal line for you. So you got that going for you, which is nice. And over here you have some special pasting options. Because this is going through a web program, pasting is tricky, especially from Word. So you want to use these buttons because Word does all kinds of funky things to text as far as markup language and all kinds of behind the scenes stuff that can really mess up formatting online. So you usually want to paste in using one of these three buttons, which will force it to give you just the raw text. And this last thing here, which we'll go over in depth later on is a CSS formatting, and this is extremely powerful because it tells different types of devices what kind of information you're presenting to them. So, for instance, if you had an address, if you formatted this as an address, um, browsers like Safari and Chrome, which are used on Android and iPhones, will be able to say, oh, this is an address, so I should probably be able to click on it and it'll automatically navigate to it or whatever. So this is super important that you just have a high altitude understanding of how these headings work going forward. And like I said, we'll cover all this in a lot more depth later on when we're talking about how to make posts and what have you. But I just wanted you to see that there is this potential here where you can really make some good looking messages, so to speak, put pictures in there and all kinds of great stuff. So I'm not going to click send message. I'm just going to go ahead and clear the form, and I'm going to go back to my account. Down below is the about me, which we've covered pretty clearly over here in this section, was where you go into modify that. You can put anything you want, as you know. As you can see, it's available to the public, so or to the rest of the community, I should say. So make sure it's appropriate and spelled right. And Mr. Haberdash Wilkerson is the name of her cat, by the way, which I think is a great cat name. Going down a little bit more, we have her offers and her requests. So as we talked about, this is all about community assets and helping each other. So here's all the things which Nancy is offering to the rest of her community, and here's all the requests that she's making of the rest of her community. So she needs some basic handyman work and some basic transportation, and she wants to start getting some dance lessons so she can get a little bit more exercise. And up here, she's an amazing cook, and she likes to teach Spanish and English as a second language. And she's an amazing seamstress, and so that's good. And she loves to cook. So here we have sewing and cooking and other stereotypical things. That's why I threw in lacrosse coach, because she wants that exercise. And in my little world, her dad was a lacrosse coach who raised her on it, so she knows a lot about it. So she wants to get some exercise. Is basically where we're going with here. And down below is the meat and potatoes of it. So we've shown this already before, but this is basically the balance sheet saying what her hours are and how she's credited. So, last thing is this Google Maps. This is a great little map here. So this is based on your address, and you can zoom in on it and go right to the address, or you can even bring up Google Maps proper and zoom right back into where you were, like it is, and drop this little fella right here where he's supposed to be. And this is where he's going to go, kerplunk. And here we have Time Banks USA. This is the world headquarters here in Washington D.C. The Edgar Khan, who's the founder, is a huge fan of daffodils and tulips and stuff, and his yard has always been an attraction for the neighborhood. So it's absolutely gorgeous what he does, and he does it all himself too. By the way, he's out there with this little drill, drilling holes in the ground all day. So this is really great. So you can use this if you, for instance, if you wanted to plan a community event, you could drop an address and it automatically links into Google Maps. People can come and check out the area and see where they're going to be working, or you can even say, hey, we're going to be doing work over here or doing work over there, or whatever you want to do. So it's just great to have that interface with Google Maps. So that's really basically it for the actual homepage. Later on, we're going to get more into the hours and activities. This is obviously the crux of the exchange of it, and we'll talk about how they're organized and why they're organized this way by service date and not by any other way. And so we're going to get all that next when we start going over service ads and requests and offers. So we'll see you then.